Hey there, and welcome to Awake AF. I'm Samantha Reigle, a self proclaimed intuitive and mediator with over 2 decades of experience helping people navigate conflict. And here's the truth, it's not just the world around you causing chaos, it's your thoughts, beliefs, and choices that might be keeping you stuck. But the good news, you can change that. It's time to wake up, shift the patterns, and take your power back and co-create the life you actually want. So let's do this and stay awake AF. Today, I wanted to focus on or unpack something that I think a lot of people are silently wrestling with. Looking outside of ourselves for proof that we actually matter. So when we're online, it might be how many likes did we get and shares and follows? Are we going viral? I mean, does it matter if you're viral or if you get 7,000 likes? Is that going to change how you feel about yourself? Because the whole digital applause economy can kind of leave you empty and you could be canceled at any moment. It's something to think about. Like, are you one of these people who are putting too much into your social media content and whether or not people are engaging with it? Or are you just showing up and this is who I am, take it or leave it? In a separate way, school, when we were in school, it was our grades. Actually, let's talk about education for a minute. And I mean like formal education here in the US. Because the system, the institutions, the whole go to school, get good grades, get into a top tier college, and then land a dream job. This formula that we were all sold like it was freaking gospel. And in so many ways, this might have worked for, like older generations and maybe even my generation. I'm a millennial. I don't know. I think some of us millennials are kind of seeing what's happening now because what worked for older generations, it's not working for young adults now. That formula of get good grades just to get into a good college, to get a good paying job so that you can have, the American dream. It doesn't work anymore and it doesn't make sense in the world that we actually live in. We're in a digital age. We've got AI that can write college essays in 3 seconds. We got 19-year-olds building 6-figure businesses from a laptop in their bedrooms. We've got YouTube tutorials that can teach you everything from coding to car repair, all for free. Meanwhile, we're still sending students into these decades old buildings to memorize facts that they could Google. We're still forcing kids to sit still for hours and regurgitate standardized test answers as if it's like a marker of intelligence or potential. And we're still telling people if they don't go to a good school, they're doomed. I mean, don't get me started on college because college is more expensive than ever. And what are people getting in return? I mean, I have to ask. When I went to college, and mind you, I have a 4-year bachelor's degree as well as a master's, and I believe the total cost for both degrees was around 30,000, give or take some change. And I went to state colleges. I came out, my first job after college, after getting my graduate degree, was around 60,000. And within 5 years, I was close to 6 figures. So I had taken my $30,000 education and was able to triple it within 5 years. I don't think that's bad. I think that's like a good investment on my money. So the degree, it made sense for me to get that back then. But now kids are being influenced to spend or told that they're going to need to spend, upwards of $100,000 for a degree for a job that, they're going to get out with this degree, and the jobs that exist in the job market right now for that specific degree might only be $40,000. They're going to be stuck in debt, not being able to have the American dream. And I think we're seeing a lot of that right now with the younger generations. Something's going on here and it doesn't make sense. And yet so many of us are trying to force ourselves to fit into that mold, still carrying shame if we don't finish, still feeling like we're not legit unless some institution stamped us with a piece of paper, and still questioning not if we're even smart enough or worthy enough because we didn't thrive in a system that was never made for the way that our brains actually work. And I'm not saying this is for every career path, but it shouldn't be like a one size fits all, that like you graduate high school and then you go to college and then, you get a job. It doesn't have to be that path for everyone, because this system, it's not sacred. It's just old. And the fact that it doesn't reflect who you are, if you don't feel like you fit within this system, that's not a personal failure. That's the signal. This failure or unrest that you might feel about it, that's just a signal that you need to wake up and stop measuring your worth through an outdated metric. You might not need $100,000 degree to have a fulfilling career, one that brings you joy. Of course, if you want to spend that money and get that degree and you want to be a doctor and it makes sense to get it for what you want to do, then that's for you. I mean, I'm talking to the people who don't feel like they fit within that system, but there's all this societal pressure that they have to go that route and go into extreme debt for the next 10, 15 years and never be able to recoup on that investment of their education. I mean, I think we're on the precipice of so many big societal changes with AI coming that at the end of the day, you need to find a path, carve a path that's going to represent who you are. Why, if you want to be a film producer, why are you going to go spend get an expensive degree to come out and just make a small percentage of that salary? Anyways, I just wanted to highlight that when you look for approval in places that chronically overlook or undervalue you, it's gonna come to a time where something's gonna need to shift inside. Don't question your own brilliance. Don't overthink your contributions. Don't wonder, maybe it's just me. Because that little seed of doubt grows. And it's going to cause, massive upset. So trying to prove that you belong, trying to earn visibility, trying to be good enough in someone else's lens, it's exhausting. How long are you going to be able to keep that up for? And honestly, I honestly believe it's a setup, because even when you do get the recognition, it's not going to land. Is that going to really satisfy you? If you post on social media and you get 10,000 likes or your post goes viral, what happens after that? You're going to keep wanting to chase that. Is it satisfy you? These are just questions, just throwing out there. Because if you've only trained your nervous system to feel safe when someone else says that you're valuable, at the end of the day, you're going to have to show up for yourself. Because what happens when that person who said you're valuable no longer thinks you're valuable? Yeah, you gotta have faith in yourself. You gotta show up for yourself. You gotta believe in yourself, and not in like this egotistical way, but just validate your own path without waiting for someone else to co-sign it. So if you have some of your inner dialogue going off in your head, like, I need this person's approval, or I just need to hit 10,000 likes and then I'll know I'm on the right path, I think you're going to just end up constantly feeling in distress, even if you do get that, So I think if you can feel good about yourself first and feel good about the product you're putting out there, or the decisions that you're making are coming from a truly aligned place, it's not going to matter what the reactions are that are coming back to you, because you are on the best path for you. Say something to yourself. If you don't know how to do this, say, I know this is my path and I don't need anyone's validation. And personally, I had to do this. I would say when I first picked back to the college discussion, when I first picked my undergraduate degree in college, I was a government and politics major. And my mother was very encouraging. Her whole philosophy on college at the time was that it's an insurance policy. Just pick a major that you will enjoy learning about for 4 years because you're going to be the one that has to sit through all these lectures, read all the books. At the time, I really loved watching the news. Now I can't stand all the vitriol, but this was also 25 years ago. So it was a bit more balanced. My dad, the more practical parent, had a very different response to my choice in major. He would persistently ask, what are you going to do with that degree? What kind of job are you going to have? Just making me, I don't know what his intention was, to get me to switch my major or doubt my path. But again, I'm the one that had to sit through the 4 years of education. I might as well pick something that I enjoyed learning about. And I think honestly, at the time, my plan was to go to law school. So I don't think it really mattered what I majored in. I didn't end up going to law school. I went to graduate school because in my junior year of undergrad, I was in a diplomacy fellowship. So obviously, like, I got into and I started telling everyone I was going to be a mediator. I didn't know how I was going to do that because at the time there weren't really mediation jobs that existed. Like, I would had to have gone into a private practice, and even at that time, I would have only had been able to do divorce mediation because it wasn't really being used by the courts as prevalently as it is now. So I don't think I was so young, and I was maybe naive, and I was just like, whatever, I'm going to be a mediator. I'll figure it out. And it did end up working out. I mean, I've been mediating for almost 20 years. The path was not straight, but it was mine. I didn't need my dad's approval. I wasn't going to get it anyway. And now here I am using my skill set in a different way. So I think it all worked out. Anyway, that is enough of my rant. In this podcast, I'm always going to spend time hearing from all of you about some of your real life dramas. So if you're going through something that is causing you unrest or distress and want to leave me a message, please use the voicemail tab in the show notes. Keep the question to under 3 minutes and I'll try and answer it on a future episode. You can leave your name, and if you want to be anonymous, just give me a fake name just so when I'm talking about it, I have somebody's name. So today, because I just launched this podcast, I have a question from a Reddit poster that I thought was interesting. And I'll continue to sprinkle these in because they are just so juicy. And I think there's like a lot of us out here that can relate. So for today, I'm going to read over what this poster wrote, and then I'll kind of talk about how she can modify her own behavior to get a different outcome instead of focusing what's happening externally, what everybody else is doing, which we have no control over anyway. We're going to focus on what she can do to kind of tweak her response and, start creating a different reality. All right, here we go. So her question is, I'm an immigrant from South Asia working in a tech company. I've had multiple instances at work where my ideas get squashed, only for it to be implemented because someone else who happens to be Caucasian brings it up at a later time. And then when they do, it's celebrated and implemented. I've also had multiple instances where two Caucasian project managers continue to not recognize me or my work in a project, but then simultaneously praising a coworker who also happens to be Caucasian. Within my team, the only person who got promoted, despite actually being the least tech person, but a master politician, also happens to be Caucasian. I'm really struggling with this nagging confusion of whether I'm truly being discriminated against or I'm just not that good after all. I feel very sad that I cannot truly get to the root of this feeling. Or actually, the fact that this feeling exists in my psyche is draining me. Anyone else been in a similar situation, and any guidance on how to tackle this feeling? All right, everybody. So let's see. My first reaction to this Reddit poster is that she has a thought loop, a bad, unhealthy thought loop going on in her mind. And it probably sounds like this. Maybe I'm not that good. Maybe they're right to overlook me. Maybe I'm not seeing things clearly. And this thought loop is creating a belief in herself. It's shaping her behavior. So her belief is that she's not worthy. And when you believe you're not worthy, you behave like you're not worthy. And then you continuously get more experiences to prove that belief. Let's talk about some behaviors. So if you are feeling like you're not worthy and you have this type of thought loop going on in your mind, you might hold back from advocating for yourself. You might stay quiet about your accomplishments. And I don't mean that you can't be humble, but you can highlight your achievements in a way that fits your personality. For example, like whenever I am able to get parties to an agreement and a settlement and a mediation, and it's been highly contentious and difficult to get, I have no problem saying to the parties themselves, hey, I'm really proud of all of us today. We all worked so hard to accomplish this together. But that's just my personality to brag. And I do it in like a team way, but I include myself in that team. In this situation, she could say something like, when she's ready to brag about herself, she could say something like, I'm so proud that I was able to get XYZ done in this way because here are some of the hurdles I had to go through. Something like that. Another behavior she might be doing because she has an unhealthy belief in herself is that she might be avoiding difficult conversations because she has like a doubt that she can even speak up at all. And all of that is just unintentionally reinforcing the exact reality that she doesn't want. She's creating, by her behavior and her belief, a reality in where she's invisible, she's under-recognized, and she's unsure of her worth. And she's sitting around waiting for someone to recognize her and give her worth. That is literally the reality she is creating for herself. The universe, like I said, will rise up and give you more and more situations to reinforce this belief. So why not change your belief and change the experiences that you're going to have and create the experiences that you want to have? So if she wanted to do this, or you want to be able to do this, you can start creating new experiences by having a healthier belief. And if you don't know how to do that, the first thing you need to do is stop looking for evidence that you're the problem. For this Reddit poster, she's been scanning the environment for proof that she's not good enough, and then using that as a reason to say small. Like, is it the color of my skin? Or that I'm from Asia? Or that I'm female? Like, maybe all those are pretty valid and truthful reasons for other people's behavior, but you can't control other people's motivations. And honestly, it won't matter at the end of the day if you change your own reactions and responses, because they're not going to be able to have that power over you. If you can instead say, am I being discriminated against? You can say, what if the problem isn't me, but how I'm showing up? Because I keep believing it is. You keep believing you're the problem, you're going to experience that. So you need to shift that belief and question and create a different power dynamic. Practice confidence without asking for permission. Instead of shrinking after your ideas get ignored, try this. Hey, that's a great direction. It actually builds on something I proposed last year. I'd love to collaborate on how to take it further. So if she were to respond in that way when someone else pitches like the exact same idea that she had earlier, Capitalize on it. Don't escalate the situation and go into your negative thought loop. Create a belief of I'm here, I contributed, I belong. The next thing, get visible on purpose. Right now, this Reddit poster, her behavior may be quiet behind the scenes, head down, hoping someone notices. But visibility, that's not vanity. You're not, well, look at me. No, you can do it strategically. She can start by sending, again, I don't work in this, this job that she's in, but I can just give out ideas, and maybe some of you at home will kind of relate to this. Send brief weekly updates to her manager on what she's owning and completing. Speak up in meetings, even if it feels uncomfortable. Share her wins with her team. It's hard to know. Like I said, it's hard to know how to advise where I don't work where she does, but you get the drift, and you can take some of these ideas and kind of put it into your own situations at work. At the end of the day, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you claim as yours. I mean, we see people do this all the time. So again, no more asking, am I being discriminated against? Or am I just not good enough? Or what's wrong with me? No. What is that getting you? Ask yourself, what can I do differently if I fully believed in my talent? How would someone with this much talent behave? Look around you and look at somebody who behaves the way that they are talented and, follow their lead. If that helps. Obviously, you have to do what feels right for you and your personality, but you need to change that unhealthy thought loop. And these are just some of the ways that you can do that to create a better reality. How can I make my value undeniable, even to people who overlook me? What's one bold action I can take this week to step into leadership energy? Better questions are going to give you better outcomes. At the end of the day, she needs to decide that she belongs. We all need to decide that we belong and then act like it. Right now, the pattern that is holding this Reddit poster back isn't just what others are doing, it's how she's interpreting it, internalizing it, and responding to it. The shift she needs isn't to change who she is. It's to stop dimming who she is to fit a system that wasn't built for her. Once she owns her worth and voices her contributions and takes bold, aligned actions with those beliefs, her reality has no choice but to shift in response. Okay, I hope this was helpful to some of you out there. If you've been looking at a broken system and wondering why you don't seem to fit, maybe it's not you. Maybe it's the system. And maybe, just maybe, you're done playing small to fit into something that was never meant to be. Never meant to hold your magic. Thanks for being here. If this resonated, share it with someone who's been chasing their worth in all the wrong places. And remember, you don't need their applause. You just need your truth. You are officially awake AF.